respected past presidents, our presidential guest lecturer, Mr. Tulsiraj, Secretary of the Association, Dr. Sudhir Kapoor, and my dear friends. Now you might wonder what it means to stand tall, and if all of us are not standing on our own legs. This, I think, is a very important thing that we should think about. And before I go into the actual subject, I would first like to mention that this is one of the golden moments in anybody's professional career to adorn this jewel, which only one amongst the 35,000 in our country can hold on. I am truly indebted to you, all of you, for keeping me on this position. Secondly, I have a disclaimer to say before I go into this subject. Probably, I am not the best person to talk about this subject here. In front of me, in the audience, we have Padma Vibhushans, we have many Padma Shris, many B.C. Roy awardees, many distinguished past presidents, and I am sure that they are the right persons to talk about professional excellence. They all have been great role models to me. However, there is an increasing change, a trend in IOA in the last few years. In the last couple of years, we have found a large number of people who have become members or very young surgeons. No longer we can say IOA is for the elderly people. And it is these people who are going to be the power of IOA in the future. And I'm entirely dedicating this talk to them. Now, it is 63 years since we had our republic, and we are really proud about it. And in these 6 decades, we have crossed many milestones, and a lot of water has flown down the bridge. There is a lot of flowery language whenever India is mentioned now. The Forbes magazine says future beckons India. The next decade belongs to India. India is shining, India on the gallop, everything. And in fact, when President Obama came a few months ago, he said, India isn't emerging, it has emerged. Now, all of this makes us feel very good. And when they talk about this, they mean what India has to do on the trade and the economic zone around the world. Now, we know that the world is looking to India, but we have to seriously question ourselves. The world is looking at us as what and for what? Now, is just the world looking at us for the 1/6 of the world population that we are, a population which is 4.5 times of USA and 20 times of that of Great Britain and Germany or France. So is it looking at us as a market for their products, or is it looking at India for leadership, which we should rightfully have with the great resources that we have? Now, for the question, can Indian orthopedic surgeons excel and be leaders in the world, it actually looks like a paroxysm. Because if you look at the medical pyramid, taking the state of Tamil Nadu, nearly more than 300,000 children take up the school level exams, of which about 220,000 pass. Only 3,000 of them can become medical students. And if you take the orthopedic surgeons, just 100 of these 380,000 become orthopedic surgeons. And it is all of us who are sitting in this hall. We are actually looking at it, the cream of the cake. And it is almost looking really tough to ask, can we lead the world? We have many things in favor for this. The orthopedic disease burden is enormous. And what do you need more for clinical research? You need patients, and we have that in plenty. At normal prevalence rate, at least 1 million patients require spine surgery every year, and more than 3.5 million require trauma surgery every year. So we should be telling everybody what needs to be done. We should have the best clinical follow-up results over there. If we come even to basic science research, I'm so glad listening to the Golden Jubilee and Silver Jubilee research papers this year, stood as perfect examples of what we can do in our country. We have the highest number of skilled people who actually are leading the research all around the world, occupying the best positions of research. And if you do research in India, the cost is only 1/5 to 1/10 and that of the worst. And for the same cost, we should be doing 10 times more research than from outside. But somehow we are missing the bus, and it is not translating into a scientific impact for the world. If you take all the leading articles, leading journals across the world for orthopedics, you will find that the scientific impact that we are able to make is really very, very low. So where do we miss the bus? So we are still not standing tall on our legs. In fact, in many instances, we are not even standing on our own legs. We are standing on the evidence from outside. And there are many problems in having a foreign guru. Now, these are two ladies from two different parts of the world. One on your right is, of course, a large part of our population. More than 60% of our population is from the rural India. And this is a lady from the West. Their culture, their needs, their disease patterns, their cost provider, their social support, and what happens is all completely different. And then the solution for a disease for them cannot be the same. Western medicine also is increasingly becoming extremely costly, not for the benefit of the patient. If a pie increases, the profit share of every stockholder increases. And unnecessarily you will find that the medicine is becoming extremely costly. Now, can we treat our patients on the evidence built by others? There is one more serious problem. That is that not everything that is published is golden. There are lots of questionable research practices in the world. There are frequent incidences of research misconduct. And in fact, it's sad that there are also frank frauds in scientific research. In the ISIL's President's Address, which I delivered in the Spine Week Amsterdam, that was the reason I took up the topic, are we publishing not to perish, or are we publishing to flourish? And in the process, are we corrupting science? Now, let us take 3-4 examples. Now, we know one of the biggest examples, which was thought to be a big innovation of the use of methylprednisolone in acute spinal cord injury, after all these articles came out in journals which had the highest scientific impact. Now, these results resulted in methylprednisolone being used in a dose which is not used in any other medical disease so far, and billions of dollars was earned by Pfizer. And subsequently, all the research on this have not been able to replicate results. In fact, the numbers, tables, and figures were inconsistently defined, and it was a perfect example of how you can lie, and you can lie better when you use statistics. But it is also a coincidence that Michael Bracken, who was popularizing this, was a well-paid consultant, and he also received large fees from Pfizer. So the color of the research in many parts of the world seems to be the color of various shades of green. This will be disastrous if you know what is actually happening. Scott Reuben published from Pfizer and produced 18 papers that were published even in very highly impacted journals. But in all these 18 papers, there was only one problem, that no patients were ever enrolled in any of his study, and all were done through a computer in his workstation. He published very good results of Celebrex, Bextra, and Vioxx, and as a result, throughout the world, post-operative pain management depended on these drugs. And in the end, it was the biggest hoax of the century, and he had got $420,000 as a consultant fee. But apart from this, healing can also become a crime. In this perfect book, we find how one surgeon from Werner Bezoda from South Africa actually claimed tall, big claims of very good success by high-dose radiation. And this was also a hoax. But before this was found, many patients died. And many patients developed highly aggressive chemotherapy-resistant acute myeloid leukemia. So healing can also become a crime. Lastly, just very recently, the Senate committee report says Medtronic manipulated studies, which was of BMP, and 7 top surgeons who are also presidents of many international associations were found to have received more than 210 million in payments over a 15-year period for promoting BMP. Eugene Carnegie, who is the editor of Spine Journal, in his editorial he wrote, the Medtronic-sponsored studies failed to report one single adverse event of any type. But when the FDA data was analyzed, it was completely different. The FDA data showed that there was increased radicularities, an increased number of leg pain events, increased infection rates, and an increased chance even of sterility. But none of these was reported by the 7 top spine surgeons who reported and did their studies for Medtronics. He concluded, it's astounding that there should be such differences between paid research and by research which is in. Now you can say, okay, we should now look at research which is real and which is not real. The problem is, how do you identify which are real? Now all of Scott Reuben's publications over 13 years were accepted and published by high-indexed medical journals, podium presentations in major scientific meetings, and 2 of these research were even accepted by FDA. So none of it is really great. Now we have to accept the paper which is published is not sacred anymore. There is an important need that we need to generate our own evidence and our own studies. There is a lot of scientific bluff going on, and we are all blindly following to the tune of outside evidence. So it's time that when we have everything on our favor to do a large and good scientific study, that we should not be sleeping. There is no point or no big thing in saying that, oh, we are a sleeping giant. Because when you are sleeping, it doesn't matter who you are. If you are sleeping, it does not matter whether you are a tiger or a cat. Only when you wake up and roar, it depends upon whether you are a lion or whether you are meowing like a cat. But it's time that we wake up to individual professional excellence, which will set the standard for a national excellence. It is time that we start leading the world. I am particularly addressing this for the younger generation in the Indian Orthopaedic Association. In 2020, you will form the largest youth power in the world. You will form a community which cannot be matched anywhere in the world. And if you should not let the chance go through, I would like to say that we have to follow a few important things which I have found useful in the last 25 years of the professional career, and in the close observation of people who have extremely and extraordinarily contributed to excellence in profession around the world. I think we have to give up this Chalta Hai attitude. I think that is one important thing in India across the profession that is pulling us down. We are so happy to have low goals and easy contentment. Contentment is good, but not in professional life. To settle for less when more is possible. Always to give excuses for not doing the best and leading. To settle for the easy and let the struggle pass by. I mean, this has been our national motto. Fortunately, in the last decade, there are very many groups which are breaking out of this Chalta Hai attitude, and I think we should be one of them. Now, the Indian problem is not that what is possible. The problem is the performance gap. The FCCA president, just 3 weeks before, if you had seen in Times of India, he has said, the issue is not what India is doing, but what it is capable of doing. And here comes the huge gap. And if we have to get this out, I was actually looking at Olympics, and this thought crossed my mind many times when the Olympics was going on. The gap between the performance and what is possible. When India won the first bronze medal, the whole country split into celebrations. And when this was being told, there was also, it was shown that a Chinese badminton player just crashed on the court and cried inconsolably when she missed the gold medal. And the whole Chinese contingent was unhappy that, not that they had got less medals, they had got 88 medals, but they were truly unhappy that they were not number one in the world. And we were just breaking into celebration that we got 2 silver and 4 bronze medals. And here comes the performance gap. We are looking and getting contented at what little we achieved, but not at what it is possible. We didn't compare ourselves with China. We just compared ourselves with, so far we have never got a medal. And the youth of today, as you, I think you should aim very high. Now this is something which I see very often and it is really good. These 10 seconds shows for the first time a man who just led the 100 meters at such fast pace that he could afford to slow down in the last 10 yards. And this is what surprised everybody. And the world went bonkers over here. And if you find why this happened, can you just get it to this thing? And if you find why that happened, you will have to actually look at what this man, remarkable man, does before he goes for any of these races. Now this is something that all of you should do and all of the younger people must think for coming up. Now you can see in every one of the single races, you will find that he actually, before he does, can I go on to the next one, please? Yeah, next one. Yeah. This is what he does. Praise God, kisses the ground, and then he looks up and says, this is what I want to do. I want to aim for the sky. Now this is actually, I think, what we should actually do. Can you go on to the next slide, please? Now, this is something common for everybody who has achieved very high. Steve Jobs did not say that he wanted to produce a better iPhone or a better phone or a better computer. He said, I want to put a ding in the universe. And really, he did put a ding in the universe because he thought much more than that. Dreams do not come as truth unless we are able to work very hard for it. It is very sad that there is a lot of things that are being told about hard work, and people talk of different things, of stress and other things. Stress and hard work are completely different. This is the 400 meters dash, and you can see the lead that he takes and his mother watching him and his brother watching him as he runs the race. And just look at the gap between, and this is high quality performance. But what is most important is after he reached and as he was gasping for breath, you can see the whole country goes into celebration. That is the traditional national dance. And you can see again he shows that. But what is important is, next slide, as he was gasping for breath, they asked him, what made it easy for you? And he said, imagine me from nothing to the fastest person on earth, that too from Jamaica, that too a black. People look at it in the end and say it looks so easy. But before it gets to that point, there are so many sacrifices. There are many moments of near dying where you just want to quit because your training is so killing. When you get up at home and you know what is in store for you, how intensive it is going to be, you feel like staying home. But you have to go. When your body says no, you have to learn to say yes. Your body says stop running, you are tired, go play football, go play golf like others. But you have to keep running because nothing comes without hard work. As a nation, we all have to work harder. Let us not look at Europe or any other foreign nation. And if we at this stage start working to the European working rule of 48 hours per week, I think that is going to be the biggest disaster for our country. We also have to work smarter and with passion because we have to love what we all love to do. Now this hits the Times magazine a year ago, and here you can see a marathon runner who was actually just operated for cancer running, and they had put, the spirit of marathon is, it hurt to run for her, but it hurt more for her to stop, and so she completed. Now that is passion. If you love what you do and you put passion, then your attitude will be very good. Now everything that looks easy, there is a big story behind it of hard work. Now when Sachin Tendulkar was asked by Sunil Gavaskar after one of the matches, how did you make that six look so effortless? He said, yeah, effortless, but it took me 10 years of hard practice to get that effortless six. After the Oscar award, when Rahman was asked how many years he took, he said, no, not years, twice the time, because I was working both day and night for it. And when Narayana Murthy asked, how did he become an overnight success? He said, it took us 25 years to become the overnight success. So every success has a big story of hard work behind it. We have to give up the Chalta Hai attitude because the world does not have a record for second best performance, and all these successful people did not settle for the second. Fourth thing, if India has to have leadership in scientific world, we have to make our growth clean and transparent, and all our research has to be honest. When we climb up the ladder of success, we have to be careful that the ladder is on a wall of honesty and integrity. We have to come out of the feeling that we are doing great research just by doing clinical research for overseas companies. There is a huge number of evidence that these clinical researchers are dumping grounds of untested drugs in our country, and this is something that we should not get. If you are not honest, however good you have been, it will come crashing down one time. And if many of these happens in our country, the name of the country goes down. Money is so important in life. I think it's very, very important. It gives you so much of the ability to do what you want to do at the right time. But money should be a byproduct of your professional achievement and not the aim of it. You tell me one person in the world who is the highest performer and who is the highest achiever in any profession, in sitar, in golf, in cricket, in racing, in medicine, in engineering, who is poor. It is impossible for a professional achiever to be poor. So you have to act it as a byproduct, but not aim at it from the start. As Steve Jobs said, it doesn't start or end with money. He said, being the richest man in the cemetery doesn't matter to me. Going to bed at night saying I have done something wonderful, that's what matters to me. But younger people, look at this. People with this attitude have all been the richest people in the world. They are the guys who dominate the world. Lastly, we should stop this blame game. We should not say our college is not good, but it's not good, government is not good, what is this, that is that, DME is not good, health secretary is not good. This is one game no one ever wins. When we point one finger at others, 4 fingers are pointing at us back. We cannot give the usual question that we do not have time. We cannot be too busy to do things. Are we all so busy that we can't do anything? The only thing that the beggar on the street has as much as the President of the United States is 24 hours in a day. Obama cannot declare today, I am the President of USA. My day will have 36 hours instead of 24 hours. Impossible. It's only how you use it that matters. Let's take good examples of people who are successful, and that will help us. Just this morning, I came to know that Dr. Devi Shetty, one of my other big role models, was declared as the Indian of the Year. Now, they have established great successful models, performed the largest number of neonatal operation surgeries, and I think that we should complain of time only if we are working more than him. We have perfect examples in our country where they have shown that you can overcome obstacles. And it is a perfect reason that I thought that the most befitting person for the presidential lecture today is somebody from Aravind High Hospital and Mr. Tulsiraj, who has been the architect of the success of Aravind High Hospital. Now, their mission was something extraordinary. And can you believe that an institution which does 300,000 surgeries a year, that means 100,000 surgeries are performed every year. And they not only perform healthcare, but when they came to across any obstacle, they rose about it and they found solutions to perform this better. Now, if they can do it, I do not think we have any excuses to do so. And sir, we are waiting to hear you tell us how to overcome the obstacles. Now, what about when should we change? Should it be an incremental change? I think this is very important for all of us to know. Life has an expiry date, and it may not be too long. None of us know. That is the secret of life, that when it's going to end for any one of us, we have no control. But life does have an expiry date. And as Steve Jobs said, I have great respect for incremental improvement, but I've always been attracted to the more revolutionary changes because they are more harder, they are stressful emotionally, and all through the time people are telling that you are going to be wrong, and that gives you actually the great power to do it. So there is no point in just becoming bigger of what you are already. A little watermelon becomes a bigger watermelon after some time. If in 2012 you are performing 20 hemiarthroplasties, your aim should not be that in 2015 I will do 30 hemiarthroplasties and then 105 hemiarthroplasties after 10 years. There should be some difference, a total radical change which is going to be there. Is there a greater power or beauty if the caterpillar just grows into a bigger caterpillar? And the beauty of caterpillar is that at some time it changes into a butterfly. But for this change, we have to have a commitment and this thing to it. It is possible. There are thousands of people in our country who are doing. For the younger IOA members, what you need to develop is right from the start, just do not be a surgeon, aiming to be a better surgeon, aiming to be a bigger surgeon. I think you need to have the transformation of the caterpillar to butterfly, from surgeon to surgeon scientist. And for this, we do not need rocket science in India. We just need the ability to do good clinical research in India. Is there a need? Is it possible? Definitely. Now, for simple things like this, a young girl who has got all the spinal science, partial neurology, presented to us with tuberculosis of the spine, we still are not sure about many different things. Should this patient be operated immediately or after 3 weeks of chemotherapy? How long can we wait? It's all gray science. How much chemotherapy we should give after operating? 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. We have 3 big stalwarts in this field, in this auditorium, who either give at 6 weeks or 12 months or for 9 months. Now there is so much of variability that we need to see. Even in things that is commonly seen, like burst fractures without neurology, there are so many things. Should you operate immediately or not? Are you going in front or from back? Should you decompress or not? Should you fuse after instrumentation? Everything is gray science. And for all these, you need well-conducted clinical research trials done with honesty in places where a large clinical load is available. Where else than in our country? As Nandan Nilekani said, in a larger sense, this is a part of his TED lecture on the net. He said in a larger sense, many of the honest solutions for the world will have to come from countries like India. But the only thing is we should stand up to the challenge because leadership does not come very easily. So we have everything. We have the youth of the best youth of the whole world. We have them in the largest number. We have the largest number of disease burden. We have a patient population which is not tarnished by compensation and other insurance problems. People who have true problems in life. It is a question of no work, no food, and they really look at getting better. And it is just that we need to change from a surgeon to a surgeon scientist, and then there is no doubt that we can stand not only on our legs, but we can stand very tall on our legs. So I would like to conclude that with a small transformation from us, that India can lead the world, and the Indian Orthopaedic Association looks at our youth, the younger members of the Indian Orthopaedic Association, to take India to greater heights than what we are now. Thank you, gentlemen, for your patient listening.
It was a wonderful talk. You must give me a standing ovation for this. I think you deserve richly for this thing. One of the, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.